Hello you guys, it's your girl Marina, and today I am back with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you my everyday makeup routine. I'm also going to be discussing some unpopular opinions about femininity and feminism. So if you are interested in hearing some of my tips for a nice natural makeup look, along with some perspectives I have in the world of being a woman and being a Black woman, and the best and worst things about being a feminine woman in today's society, keep watching this video. So I'm gonna be starting out with a primer. My skin is cleansed and I put a little bit of face lotion and serum on to prep my skin. So now I'm gonna go ahead and prime. The current primer that I've been liking is this number 7 Airbrush Away Pore Minimizing Primer. I really do like this primer. It smooths out my pores quite a bit, and it does help with kind of keeping oil under control as well. So I'm gonna be focusing my primer on the parts of my face where I have larger pores, and just in general that sort of T-zone area where I tend to hold a lot of oil. So yeah, I'm still kind of fine-tuning my channel, and this is a lot to do with what I'm going to be discussing here in today's video. I feel like with beauty and curly hair content, it's very easy to kind of get lost in the crowd because it is such an oversaturated space. There's a whole lot of talent that exists within the influencer world and with those two particular lanes. So I think that one of my most wonderful qualities that sets me apart from others is my mind and my dialogue. I'm definitely not an amazing makeup artist by any means. And as far as curly hair, don't get me wrong, I think that there's a lot of valuable and great content out there. But even with that, it's kind of like, how different can one wash and go be from the next? I don't know, it's just, for me, making that determination about what sort of content that I really want to make. What kind of value would my content be giving my viewers as opposed to any other how-to page on here? So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that, and I have always wanted to create content that is centered around uplifting women, and specifically Black women, women of color, because I feel like that's my lane. I've just had a lot of experiences at 34, and there's just so many things that I wish I would have known when I was younger and in my 20s that I would like to enrich my community with, in terms of knowledge and in terms of value. So let's get some makeup on the face. I'm really gonna be like sprinkling a lot of information throughout this tutorial, you guys, so just bear with me. I'm gonna kind of be hopping from makeup references to life references, social references. So I'm gonna be using my MAC Pro Longwear concealer in the shade NC45. So yeah, I'm focusing the concealer on the spots of my face that I do want to cover. So side note, I feel really good about this election outcome. I feel very good about it. This has been such a tough year, and I feel like we need a break. We need something positive to look towards, especially during these times. But I did find it very interesting, the poll numbering and some of the information that I feel like many of us already know in terms of how many different groups of people really do exist within American society. All of my brushes for the most part are going to be e.l.f. brushes. So I'm just going to be using my e.l.f. foundation brush here to blend out these little pieces of concealer that I put on my face. So that was very stressful to say the least. I felt like I was on pins and needles this whole year. But again, I think it's interesting that, as usual, Black women are responsible for saving America from itself in overwhelming numbers. And to me, as a Black woman who is often very outspoken and quite radical in my personal beliefs, I'm not at all surprised. I don't like to put a whole lot of foundation on my forehead, so I'm just going to be sort of mixing the leftover product from the lower parts of my face and sort of finishing off onto my forehead. I think that nobody deserves self-care and self-preservation more than Black women right now. I think that we have historically been not only the matriarchs of our families, but for America. I have a very unique experience because I am an immigrant. I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, but I have been here most of my adult life. So I feel like although I have an immigrant experience on one end of things, I also have the African American experience. It has made my perspective very, very interesting. And I think that I'm able to view the world through a few different lenses as a minority because I sort of am spread very thin across the spectrum. And this is another reason why I'm really, really filled with joy about Kamala Harris's getting into the White House. I think that that's beautiful. I too am Black and Indian, so I am full of pride and I'm really, really just happy. Like, this ain't the end of it by any means, and I think that especially us radical thinkers know this to be true. I know that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and this has allowed for a lot of great discussions to happen within our culture that frankly are behind the times. But this is America's reckoning. When you don't really address your trauma and this country's trauma, it is destined to sort of repeat itself in different ways. And I think that's what we're witnessing right now. So now I'm kind of like satisfied with this clean base that I have going on. Now going to go in with a little bit of concealer to brighten my under eyes. The first one I'm going to be going in with is my Clinique Beyond Perfecting concealer. This is in the color 21 Caramel Cream, and I'm going to be blending this concealer with my LA Girl Pro concealer. This is in the color Fawn. This is kind of an old school favorite, but with me, if it ain't broke, I ain't gonna fix it, especially when it comes to complexion. If I find a complexion product that works really well for me, it's gonna take a lot for me to move around a little bit. Okay, I'm going to be using my Smashbox color correcting stick. I like to use this sort of in the inner corners of my eyes and a little bit to the sides of my mouth, anywhere I have darker spots on my face. Just blend this in with my fingers because I have textured skin, so I want to sort of push the product into the places where I want it to sit. So just back on the topic of femininity, Black femininity in particular, I feel like as a result of having to be the matriarchs of our own families and for America, Black femininity gets put on the back burner. We see this in a lot of different ways. Yet I think that our femininity is very, very exploited because it's seen as hyper femininity when we play up our femininity. And I just see our femininity as under attack often because I think that there are a lot of takers that borrow from our femininity and emulate our femininity. We see it all the time in society. You literally have to be blind to not see it. Yet when we try to sort of reclaim some of that, people don't like it. People are threatened by it. People are afraid of it. People are appalled by it. Yet those same people often show us that it is in fact some of the most desired type of femininity that there is Black femininity. I'm gonna dampen my beauty blender and I'll be right back. This allows for my concealer to sort of sit under my eyes and cook a little bit. I do like to let it sit for like a minute or so before I start blending. So I'll be right back. I'm also gonna add a little bit of that Beyond Perfecting concealer that I showed you guys earlier in this lower part of the under eye. It's a trip to kind of see the way that Black women in American society are so valuable and yet so disrespected. And we're disrespected by everyone across the spectrum, including our own. How many women do you meet that are threatened by that and associate that with weakness or with a lack of intelligence. And this can be applied, I think, to feminism and femininity in general. I don't think that this is exclusive to a Black woman's experience. Well, we're already aware of how powerful we are as America's underdogs. But I think if we can begin to imagine what we would be like by embracing all of our strengths, including the very beauty standards that we are told are undesirable, yet frequently emulated by other groups of women, can you imagine how truly powerful we really could be? I think we're nice and blended out. And you see how beautiful that foundation matches my skin tone, and I mean my neck as well. So I'm gonna very, very quickly bake this before we start to, before this starts to dry down too much. And the first item I'm gonna use to set my concealer and my foundation is going to be this Sephora Microsmooth in the color Deep 56. I love this powder. It's just like a really, really finely melded powder. And I don't know what it is, but it's just like, my makeup just is so bomb with this particular powder. And I'm gonna go in and just set all of my face, including my lid. And if you guys notice, when I was blending my makeup, I didn't put any concealer on my lid because I actually really like the skin tone of my under eye, that it's like a little darker than the rest of my skin. And I think that you can create a more natural looking face or a more natural look when you leave that alone. And I'll show you guys what I mean here in a little bit. So because I have really oily prone skin, I am gonna put a little powder on my lids. I'm gonna now go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder. So this is just an addition to that Sephora Microsmooth powder that we just used on my face to just do a little light baking and to help with oil. And you're gonna see me put this into parts of my face that basically have the most liquid makeup that we want to bake down and that get the oiliest. And I have aging skin, so I'm not going to be baking for too long because I don't want this to create a drying. I swear I picked like the worst day to record. Like between the sounds in the streets and the construction going on next door, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So yeah, I'm putting this translucent powder onto the parts of my face that I want to control that oil. And it's really baking for like, not long at all. I'm already ready to brush this off. And this to me is like one of the most satisfying parts of the process because look at how flawless my skin is looking right now. Like this, baby. This is the sort of base that, honey, we like. So again, I take a lot of pride in uplifting Black women here on my channel, and really I think that all women can hopefully take something from this conversation, because I think that we need to push back a little bit on what society tells us is acceptable for women to subscribe to. Why can't women be the most gorgeous, most, you know, depending on how far along the spectrum you are comfortable in being at in your feminine, why can't women be beautiful and relish in beauty and still be taken seriously by society. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I'm like forgetting things. I'm using my MAC Dip Brow to fill in the parts of my brows that are a little lighter. I do have microbladed brows because I have like no brows, which, by the way, I recommend it. Like, it cuts my makeup time in half. So I'm just going in to the parts that faded a little bit and I'm just filling them in. So yeah, I believe that women should really be free to live their lives on their own terms in 2020. Even though society stays telling us that it's a lot of women out here in these streets that still support and subscribe to this like borderline Handmaid's Tale type of world. Listen, if you want to live your life that way, and if you want men and strangers to have peak control over your life choices, then that's cool. Nobody's stopping you. But that isn't what the majority of women want. Nobody wants to pedal backwards in progress for our own decision making, our own sense of agency. Who wants to do that? Unfortunately, there are people within our own communities that don't have our community's best interests in heart. And I believe that that same sort of ethic could be applied to a lot of spaces in society, right? Okay, so I'm liking the way my brows look right now. I think I'm satisfied with that. And now I'm gonna do some very soft contouring. This is everyday daytime makeup, so I'm not gonna go too heavy on a contour. I really need for this to look natural as possible. So what I'm going to use to contour today is going to be my Mercier medium deep translucent powder. This is some good stuff right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's just so nice and rich and beautiful. The color, the shade, is very buildable as a contour or even a bronzer. So I like to use this because it's really easy in the daytime, unless you're doing your makeup in natural light, to overdo it on a contour. So I'm just using my big fluffy e.l.f. complexion brush. You're gonna see me focus this powder right at the top of my cheekbone and almost on this inner part here, but above it, never going below. I want to try to focus this and concentrate this on the outer parts of my face. What you're seeing me do here helps to create the illusion of a smaller forehead, which you already know how I feel about my forehead. I hate it. I feel like it's just huge. So yeah, guys, going back to what I was saying, anybody deserves a break from saving this country's ass. It's Black women. And shout outs to Stacey Abrams for helping turn Georgia blue. And Stacey Abrams deserves, okay? If you are American, especially if you are a Black female American, you should, if you have not already heard about Stacey Abrams, just Google her and do some reading about her. She is just wonderful and such a talent, such a necessary public figure and politician. They stole her win from her, but she came back tenfold to show these Republicans what time it was and that she was not going to disappear into thin air after her loss. She continued to do the work. And that's why I say Stacey Abrams deserves. I recently read a book by the great Bell Hooks called Ain't I a Woman? That book in particular is about Black women and feminism in America. When I tell you it is one of the most prolific books I have ever read in my life, I've never read a book that has brought me more value and perspective as a Black woman. So much of the ideas that I'm discussing in this video here are ideas borrowed from that book because it resonated with me so much. So now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of blush. This is going to be the e.l.f. blush palette, and this is what it looks like. And I'm gonna be using this kind of peachy orangey color on my cheeks. I'm using my e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm just sort of placing that at the top part, blending it straight into my contour. So, message that I want everyone to take away from this is, although it can be a little bit confusing in society when it comes to what society really wants from Black women, we can't be the oppressed and the saviors of this country. Like, we can't possibly do both. We may not necessarily get what we feel is owed to us, but by indulging in acts of self-preservation, we can take back what we need for ourselves, and we can indulge ourselves in the self-care we so desperately deserve and are entitled to. So that's what I want this takeaway message to be from my little chit chat and my little rant that I had going here with you guys today. I'm not gonna do a whole lot for eye makeup. I probably should have done the eye makeup first, but like I was saying to you guys, I do like the natural coloring, the darker sort of shadowy coloring on the upper part of my eyes. And I'm just gonna go in and sort of enhance that a little bit. I'm gonna be using a bronzer to do so. This is my favorite bronzer. This is my Anastasia Beverly Hills powdered bronzer in the color Mahogany. Whew, it's so pretty, you guys. Look at this bronzer. Look at this bronzer. It's just gorgeous. I'm gonna be using my little crease brush by e.l.f. to just go in a tiny bit with this product. And I have hooded eyes, so what I'm gonna be doing is working the bronzer in an upwards direction when I go into the crease, but I'm gonna focus more on the outer edge here where my arch is on my eye. And I don't know if you guys can see that color. It's just so pretty. And again, I just want to enhance sort of what I already have going on in terms of an eye look for my eyes. And I'm just gonna take whatever is left on here and lightly contour the inner part of my nose. And I'm not gonna go down too far. Just kind of at the point where my brow begins and sort of this inner corner of my eye meets. I'm not going too much further down than that. It's just gonna give me a little bit more of a snatched. The next thing I'm gonna be doing, because of my hooded eyes, I really favor like a doll eye sort of a look. And it helps to just open my eyes a little bit more and enhance them a bit because they're just so tiny. So I've been loving this eyeliner by Maybeline. It's the Tattoo Studio 970 Polished White. And I'm just gonna go in to the waterline of my eyes and add that product in. And you're gonna see a huge difference, guys. Can you notice how much more my eye here is open as opposed to this one? Just by now I am gonna go ahead and set this face with my MAC Fix Plus. This is my favorite setting spray, and I don't hold this too close to my face. And now the makeup is going to just melt and sit on our skin. Me personally, once this dries, I am gonna go back in with a little bit of my translucent powder just to like this part of my face, the parts where again, just very, very lightly, any place on my face that is susceptible to oil buildup. Yeah, for most people, that's the end of the job, but I do go right back in here. Just to those spots on my face where like I could use a little bit of extra coverage. Everybody's skin type is different. Even at 34, I feel like I still have like the oily skin of like a 24-year-old at times. Honestly, I'll take it at 34. Like I'm not mad at that. I used to hate that when I was younger. I hated my oily skin when I was younger. It just seemed like I was like a walking oil spill, and I just hated it. And then as I age, I'm understanding it's actually a really good skin issue to have, because the oilier your skin, the slower you wrinkle. And listen, honey, I will take all the anti-aging things that the sun wants to give my melanated skin. Now we're gonna get to my favorite part. This is going to be the highlighter, and today I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighter. This is in the color Crown of My Canopy. It's so pretty. I'm gonna use my highlighter brush from e.l.f. I'm just gonna be focusing on the top parts of my cheekbones. Add a little bit to the tip of my nose and a little on my cupid's bow. Okay. Now I'm gonna go in with my Lancome Cills Booster. This is like an eyelash primer product. This is just to help give the illusion that my lashes are a lot fuller and thicker than they actually are. And I do like this product. It does help. So I hope you guys appreciated the topics that I discussed with you today. I hope that it wasn't too much for anyone. I'm ready to use my platform to help inspire thought-provoking conversations, and just to help inspire thought, to help inspire anything that brings you some sense of relatability, to help women feel like they aren't alone in the world. I know that I myself many times have felt very alone with my sort of louder way of thinking, and definitely think you guys should check out the book by Bell Hooks, Ain't I a Woman? I'm gonna link it down below so that you guys can check it out. Again, I cannot tell you how incredible that book has been for me in my viewing womanhood today, especially Black womanhood today. So now that that lash primer is nice and dried down, I'm gonna go in with my Lancome Hypnose mascara. Oh, that's better. Yeah, because I believe that personally, the more radicalized women are, specifically women that indulge their femininity, the more powerful we are as a force all our own in society. Because one thing society is quick to remind women, and Black women specifically, is nobody is gonna fight for you, baby. You gotta fight for yourself. Nobody is gonna give you anything in this world. You're gonna have to get out there in the mud and get it yourself. At least that's me. And there's nothing wrong with people that have had some help in the world. As a matter of fact, I've had a lot of help in the world that I'm grateful to. I've had a lot of great people that have been in my life, however brief, however long-standing, that have helped me through my journey so much. And some of those same people really surprised me. They were not people from the parts of society that I thought would be lifting Black women up. And so the world continues to shock me, and the world continues to throw me for a loop. But I don't view the world, I don't view my individual experiences and privileges and moments of luck as everyone else's. Everyone else doesn't necessarily have that experience. So I think it's important that we as women, when we are in tune with our feminine, when we are in tune with our environment, with the world that we are up against, we are a force to be reckoned with. Okay, we are fantastic, we are amazing, and we are really capable of some amazing things. So we're of course going to finish this look off with a lip, and the lip that I'm going to be going with today, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I want to go for a glossier look as opposed to a mattifying look, because I feel like the winter, the colder weather is susceptible to drying you out. So unless you're wearing a mask during the day, which I do not suggest satin or glossy lips when you're wearing a mask, your whole makeup is going to be all over your face. But since I'm not going to be wearing a mask today, I am going to do a gloss. Today I'm going to be using my ColourPop lippy pencil in the color BFF3. This is such a pretty color. And this is like a nice brown lip liner, and I guess I don't really need to wear a lip liner for this gloss, but a nice lip liner will always amp up a look. Okay, so I'm gonna be mixing 2 lip glosses for this lip. I've never really combined these before. This NYX Butter Gloss and a couple Apple Crisp that I wanted to try. We're gonna kind of see together how this is going to pay off without a color underneath and just by itself. And then I'm gonna go over that with my NYX Butter Gloss in the color Orange Sickle. This was my go-to gloss this summer. It's so pretty, but I'm gonna, for the sake of the warmer weather, I'm gonna try to create like a warmer lip, like a deeper red as opposed to the orange. Let's see. Hopefully this turns out okay. Ooh, this is really pretty. This gloss is super pretty. I really, really like it. I almost don't think I should go in with the orange, but just for the sake of being extra, I'm going with the orange. I love this color. The very last thing I'm gonna do is just curl my lashes a final time, and then I'm done with this makeup. So you can kind of see what that primer did for my lashes. I'm gonna try to get a little closer so you guys can see better. It almost gives me the illusion of lashes, and when I don't want to apply, this is what I go with. All right guys, so this is the final look. I thought I would move around a little bit and get some better light for you so that you can actually see what the makeup came out like. This was my everyday sort of glowy, like, on-the-go makeup look. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more videos like these in the future. I know that I had a really good time putting this video together for you guys, and I cannot wait to create more content like this. But in the meantime, cherish yourselves, cherish your femininity, cherish your belief systems, and just know that strong women always prevail. Just perpetuate that energy onto other women so that we can be powerful together. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.